Yes, that is definitely unrelated. As for sports, I do walking. I have done like charity 5Ks. When I was younger, I used to do racquetball and just like basketball, football, whatever. Not as much in recent years, but my job is like pretty crazy as well. And I also like live stream a lot too. But I hope that answers it. So, um, so to answer your question, most recently like charity 5Ks, and I just walk them. I'm not like running them or anything like that. But nothing over here. I don't see anything over there. So a little more clarity on the playing sports and stuff. Like years ago, I ended up getting like some leg knee injuries, and that kind of limited some of the things I can do now as I get older. Yeah, no, it's good for your health though, and like not that I'm like here to be like a fitness coach or anything like that. I'm certainly not like the fitness guy, but like alternate your fitness days. So maybe you do like legs one day, like upper body cardio focus, and like rotate back and forth so you can let the other side of your fitness like get like a day or two of rest. But for me, I always had like strong cardio, but oh, I saw something off in the distance. We got dots. We're gonna do a wraith check now. Yeah, and for me, getting injured like that really discouraged me. Um, and so I'm down the road. I'm gonna end up having to have like knee surgeries, but it's just not a convenient time in my life right now for that. But I have some like injury medical stuff that if down the road I was to like take care of, it might open up some more things for me. But as it is, like cardio and walking, simple things like sports med people call it low impact. Low impact means you're not jolting your your joints. So like for example, swimming would be low impact. Low impact but high cardio. Like walking, but make sure if say you're doing a treadmill or something like that, make sure you always put it on like high incline. Because if you do like treadmill with like limited or no incline, it's actually easier than you walking in real life. So it's not like you'd be better off just like walking around your office or something like that. So in that regards, um, did I get a 5? I did not get a 5. Yeah, we'll go back in there. We'll check wraith text test. Wraith check. Let's do a wraith check. Um, yeah, but I would recommend like charity 5Ks where you don't have like the pressure of like times and beating other people or anything like that, but it's still enjoyable. Like for example, I was in. I'm not going to tell you what race because you'll be able to determine where I live. But that's another 5. Whatever. Okay. Are you here? Do like a little nothing happening over here. Nothing. Okay. We're just gonna leave that there. Let's check our temp. But I remember I was in a 5K and it was a uh, very high attended race. So it's like 20,000 plus people registered. Um, and I remember I did it number one, to support a charity. Um, I have like people in my family that uh, have things related to what the race was like raising money for. We'll just that's general enough. And I remember, but I also did it for my own health and my own wellness. And I remember, the latter part of the race just was it was so hard because it was just like a slow, grindy, long incline, but it was on like the final mile, and so like I'm passing people and like they're like just winding out. They're just gassed because you know the cardio is just draining. Like as you're climbing this slow hill, and I remember I got to like the last, we'll just say the last quarter mile, last half mile, quarter mile. And I remember like all the runners and joggers who like finished ahead of me, and like people are just standing on the sides of the road. They're just like cheering the random strangers. So I'm the random stranger, but there was like so much crowd energy. It, I would compare it to like being at a football game or a baseball game or a hockey match or whatever, and you hear like the crowd is just like roaring, but it's not for a team. It's for like you, the runners. And I drew so much energy from the crowd that I got like they call it a second wind. Like in running, they call it a second wind, where you start gassing out, like your cardio's giving out. You're like just pacing, just one foot in front of another. But then like usually it's like either two things. It's like you train and then eventually you like hit this spot and then you get a second wind and then you get another jolt of like energy and then it carries you to the finish line, or like crowd energy. Like you can just feel the vibe and then you absorb like the energy from the crowd. Um, and there was so much crowd energy and I got a second wind and I just like, you know, just did a little jogging in. But I beat my best time, and it was a really cool experience, and it helped charity. Um, so to me, I think when people find like greater purposes beyond themselves, that's like important because it's so easy in our day and age to get lost in ourselves. And then it's like, oh, I got to go to my job and I have my problems and I have my hobbies and I have my interests and it's my money and my family, and it's all internalized. And then when you get to be involved in something it's not about you, it's beyond you, it's bigger than you, it's more important. Not necessarily, I'll retract that. It's not more important than you as an individual because every person is important, but it's more important than just you as a one sole person because it helps so many other people, and thus it's bigger than yourself. And so, yeah, sorry to hear about your injury. Limited movement can, yeah. It's similar injuries that limit my movement even for like just a week. Mine, like, nah, not weeks. You're talking like months. Um, it actually has like altered like some of the things I've been able to do in the long term. But I was actually like doing like walking to jogging training. It's like they call it like couch or what do they call it? Couch to 5K training, which is like a national program where it you do incremental like walking and then you go to jogging and then you cool down and you do walking and then you push and you do jogging and then you start changing the ratios until eventually you're jogging more than you are walking. And it's like basically a training program that takes you from all walking gradually, incrementally to all jogging, and then you're capable of doing an entire race in jogging. And I was like halfway through the training, and my knees and one of my hips just like gave out. Just like it was like bone spur like related, and the pain was too much. And I thought, oh, I tweaked, like maybe I didn't stretch well, or I didn't warm up right. and it wasn't warm up related. It was like I had historical injuries that got re-aggravated, but the pain level was just too much. I couldn't go on, and even like day to day stuff. Um, well, you really got me talking. I usually don't share like this part of my life, but the pain was so bad that um, like I had like trouble walking and like getting in and out of my car, and like I, for part of it I had to like walk with a cane, um, and it made me realize, when a person's healthy, that's like the good times, right? You appreciate it. Um, but yeah, there was some times where I had to walk with a cane because I was in so much pain, and or it affected my balance so bad that until I could get um, like a little more help, like from medical professionals, I just, even daily life was like really it was really tough. Um, I'm sorry, I'm like going all dark. Oh gosh, you're bringing up really tough memories. Yeah, like the 5Ks are really happy memories for me because I could always like be involved in like something, like a cause, which to me is very appealing. But the re-aggravating the injuries, it was really difficult. Um, really really difficult. Um, I remember I was sitting in the doc's examination room, and they brought back X-rays and stuff, and he's like, "So you really like 5Ks, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really do." I said I tried to do a few a year, and he's like, "That's done. You aren't doing that anymore." And I I remember when the doc told me like, "Hey, that's done. Like you aren't doing that anymore." It it like crushed a little part of my soul because I found a lot of joy in that part of my life, and then things outside of my control uh, just ended it. And then to have like it wasn't like a general practitioner, like a general doctor, like, oh, I go to my family doctor or something like that, but like an actual sports med guy, and he's like, you're done. Like you aren't doing that anymore. And he said you can walk, you still can go to 5Ks, you can still walk, but like anything that's high impact that like puts strain on your joints, like on your knees, on your hips, like you're done. Like that's that's done. And I still like I'm sitting here in my chair, and I still remember like sitting. I could close my eyes right now, and I could tell you what the room looked like when he told me that news. And it was like at that point in time, it's like that changed a little part of my life, and it was like something that I enjoyed was taken away from me. And I still can do walking and stuff like that. So I'm thankful for the mobility I have. Uh, but just like the first few weeks, um, it just really hurt. Um, sorry, I'm being a muppet. It's just bringing back really hurtful memories. Sometimes in life, you don't really appreciate things you have until they're gone. And I am thankful for, like I said, I am thankful for the mobility I do have still. And I still can, if I wanted to go out and walk, I could do that. But um, just it it just changed part of my life that I wasn't ready to give up. I mean, I kind of thought like, oh, person gets old and they turn 50 or 60 or 70, like, okay, then you're old, you can't do it anymore. But then to get that kind of news at a much younger age, and he showed me. I remember he showed me like the X-rays. No, I'm not even thinking about phasmophobia anymore. I'm sharing this for you and anybody else who ends up like listening to. I'll end on a positive spin, but but basically, when I saw the X-rays, he showed me like the knees, and I came in because I was having massive pain with one knee, right? And I remember he's like, "Oh, what knee are you coming in for?" And I said, "Oh, I'm coming for this knee." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Oh yeah, this is like really killing me. Like right now, I'm like really in pain right now." And he said, "Mal, that's your good knee." I said, "What are you talking about? My other knee feels fine." And he said, "The knee that you are like talking and say that it has you're coming in for pain is your good knee. Your other knee is actually more structurally damaged." Uh, he said. He said I have what was it? What did he say? Fluid effusion. I think that's what it's called. Fluid effusion. Like like say you hear about a football player gets like an injury and then they have like fluid on the knee, and basically like the knee has like there's little areas of the knee that are meant to compartmentalize the fluids, but then if those compartments get damaged, they start leaking fluid between the little layers, and then the fluid leaks into other areas of the knee that it's not supposed to be present in, and then now other parts of your knee start building up fluid, which creates inflammation, which creates pain, aka etc. 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 And so the knee that I came in with massive pain on, he's like, "That's your good knee." He's like, "The other one is the one that you said you didn't even come in and it's not even in pain. That's a lot more structurally damaged." So, and then that was just my knees. So my hip joints, uh, I got like I got two bone spurs on each hip joint. So if you know anything about like bone spurs, it's basically like scar tissue that like solidifies, but it, like whether it be your knee joint or hip joint, it's like a ball joint, like in a car or something like that. But when you have bone spurs, the ball joint is supposed to be able to move in that joint freely without limited friction. But then bone spurs are like adjutants, and so basically a normal person just walks and they're like whatever, nothing happens. But like to a person who has like bad bone spurs, like I walk and I just like push through the pain because I'm old school. My parents would be like, just walk it off. Like if you're not bleeding, just walk it off. It's like no empathy from my parents, like growing up as a kid. But like normal person just walks and that you don't feel anything. Your body's working properly. But when you have joints that have like bone spurs, uh, and especially if it's agitated by like weather pressure or by arthritis. So I have like arthritis in my joints. So like I could tell you when it's going to rain in my area like pretty much 24 hours ahead of time. Like I don't even need to listen to like the radio or like TV or whatever. I don't have to like look at an app. I can tell you within 24 hours of when it's going to rain in my area because the pressure changes. And when I walk and and I'm in like that moment or in that season where I'm like my body's in an agitated state. Like every walking motion is like being agitated by the bone spurs, and then I'm just like walking in pain like nonstop all day. So then the only relief you have is like if you're just still or you're like sitting until I like go under the knife, right? But the doc, he's like, yeah, Mel, if you look at the X-rays, the bone spurs are on the top of the joint and the bottom, and he said I'd have to scope. It's called scoping the knee or scoping the hip. It's like a scope, and it's all microscopic level, but they'd have to scope all the way around the joint to get both. It's not like two bone spurs together. They're on like the polar opposites of the joint. So the surgeon would have to scope all the way around the joint to get both spurs. And he said, like, I'm not even gonna even consider it until you can't handle the pain anymore. And he's like, we'll give you some stuff to like help and some therapy things to try to help, but he said, we won't talk surgery until you can't handle the pain anymore. But yeah. So let me try to make this into a positive thing. Um, there's a lot of people that go through a lot of obstacles in life, and you'd never know what they face because sometimes it's under the surface and you can't see like what they suffer with. I call that suffering in silence. Um, I feel like I have a strong mind, and I'm thankful for that. But some people they struggle with they struggle with like mental wellness, and that's a challenge for them. But the thing I would bring out is that there's a lot of people they suffer in their silence because they don't want to like draw attention, or like every blue moon they might open up a little window of to tell a part of their story. Like in my years of live streaming, this is the first time I've ever talked about this. On a random night, on a random match in Phasmophobia, and I'm in a mood to tell the story, and I'm willing to tell the story. But I may never talk about this again live streaming. But there's a lot of times in life we deal with people and we interact with people, and maybe they're in a foul mood, or maybe they're not they're not on the top. It doesn't seem like they're on the top of their game, but they could be going through something like very challenging and difficult. But they're not going to like share their weakness because either they're ashamed or they don't want people to like feel sympathetic or like pity. Like I don't need people's pity. I've learned to deal with the pain, so I don't need people's pity or want it. But some people would never tell what they face, and so number one, it's just to have an awareness. I remember um, after I got that diagnosis, um, I became a lot more aware of other people who dealt with pain issues. Not necessarily my kind of like medical injury, but or condition, but just in general. And I think that since that has happened, I've become a lot more empathetic to people that deal with pain and have to manage pain. Um, and the other thing is that if a person is going through something themselves, uh, I've always told people in real life that, like a person say they have some tragedy that happens to their life, or they're going through a difficult thing, or something they don't know. I don't know if I'm strong enough of a person to get through it. And I would always tell them like, uh, just take it one day at a time. We'll just take one step at a time, and don't focus on like what's going to happen next week or next month or next year, just worry about today. Just take the steps today. Like, be your best you today. Um, you know, face the challenge of today. Prepare yourself for tomorrow, but almost a live in the moment type mentality. And I think that's important because if a person only focuses on the future, they're not addressing what they can do and what they can choose to do in the moment of today. But if they're always looking to the past with regret, then they could be robbed of their joy in life. They could find themselves in a discouraged or depressed state. And the mind isn't intended to dwell on those types of matters. And so even though like a person could face something, a tragedy, a crisis, a challenge, an obstacle, whatever, it's important that they just they deal with today and just one step at a time, one day at a time. And then I'm a Christian. I don't push it or impose it on people, but I I try to learn to trust God that He'll help me with the day that I'm facing today. And some people don't have that support network, and they maybe are facing that type of crisis without some kind of spiritual strength. But I would say to the person who is in a good place in life to have the awareness of those that might be going through difficulties. But if the person is in the bad place of life and they're the ones that are partaking of the challenge, just take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and don't focus on things so far in the future that you're worried, and don't focus so far behind you that you're regretting, or you have guilt about what you didn't do or what you should have done or whatever, regret. But live and focus on today and the things that are within your control. And even if like there are some things of the body that I can't do anymore, but I can control my attitude, and I still can be thankful for the things I have in life and the help people have given me, the encouragement, the maybe the wisdom or the guidance. I can focus on the things I can do rather than the things I can't do, and I think I think that's kind of the conclusion of my TED talk is, have awareness of those around you, and if you're in the moment where you're facing the hardship, uh, just just take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and don't be afraid of reaching out to other people for help, and that could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be if you're in school, it could be a teacher or a professor, it could be someone that has spiritual influence in your life. It could be a minister or a youth pastor or a counselor or something. And I do believe that it's really tough to open up about the things in life, but if you choose to do that, um, I believe that there are enough good people in this world that are willing to help you if if you express what you need help with. And I think that's an important takeaway. Um, and yeah, I know you got me good tonight. You did ask the right question, and you got more story. You got more of Mal lore than any other live stream that I can remember in a lot of years, in a handful of years. Um, so I don't know. Maybe this will make the internet, maybe it won't. But just just remember, it's one day at a time, and there's always more than meets the eye. So I don't have many words to say to your story, but I appreciate you so much for sharing about it. Well, yeah, and hopefully you didn't put you to sleep. I'll admit my focus isn't really on phasmophobia at the moment anymore. I'm kind of I've used a lot of emotional currency to be able to like tell that story without like really cracking. So I'm gonna depart. Let's guess on our goes. Let's guess.